Well, hello and welcome to episode number 478 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, Air Force One, well, it's costing more and more money. Ryanair are considering cancelling a certain Big Max order, and also Marmondo takes a look at private jets flying higher than commercial aircraft. In the military news this week, it is all about, it's all about the 757. Well, Matt will love that one. And also we take a look at the first Protector drone arriving at RAF Waddington. Well, he's joining me this week, just about. He's back in the studio after having last Friday off. But it's safe to say that I think, I did score a brownie point because Matt didn't have to edit the show last week at all. Matt, was that right?
I know. I still, to this very moment, cannot believe that was the case.
I know. I was so happy. I was so happy when I left yours last week. I think I even said to Mama Smith, I've just completed a show without any
technical faux pas or anything like that. Yes, no one is more astounded than me, I can assure you of that. But well done, sir. In stark contrast to me, where it's been a car crash trying to get on air and all sorts today. So there we are, never mind. Karma's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
I know. But anyway, you're fine. You're there now.
Hang on a minute. Slight technical moment here in the studio. Alexa, studio lights on, please. Thank you, very good.
He's just turned the lamp on in my office here. Thanks for that, Matt.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Oh, dear. Well, Nev is unfortunately not with us this week. He is busy sunning himself in his budgie smugglers across over in the Canary Islands, I think, isn't he, Matt? He's away this week.
I'll say yes to that.
But he'll be hopefully back next week on the show. And also Armando is unfortunately not able to be with us tonight as well. He's busy flying. Well, he's flying everything. I think he's flying the Polaris, isn't he, Matt? I think he said to the group.
Again, you're asking me things that you think I should know the answer to.
I forget. Matt doesn't look at the show notes. Matt doesn't look at the group messages.
Never going to happen.
Anyway,
never.
But hopefully he'll be back next week as well. Nick, you are with us. So hello, Nick. Welcome back as always.
Evening, Carlos. Yes, so it was the Pilates today. Armando was heading down to Key West.
Oh, yes.
I did ask him to get some key lime pie, but he said he was having a quick turnaround. So,
what does that mean? Is that a euphemism for something? Did I miss the memo?
Key lime pie, Matt? Come on.
No, the quick turnaround.
Oh, yeah, it was a euphemism.
Well, quite.
It's one of my favourite. I love key lime pie, actually.
Yeah. If I feed it to one of my friends, we have to take him to hospital. So,
oh, crikey!
Oh,
yeah.
Blimey. Well, good to see you, Nick.
You too. I had a week off last week, so it's nice to be back. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Joining us this week as well, super sub number one. We've got two super subs on the show this week. He's back again, joining us. It is our official Airbus captain. It is, of course, it can only be one person. It's the man who owns his own pub, literally at home. It's Andy.
Hello again. It's become a very regular occurrence, isn't it?
Well, Armando did warn you, Andy, that this is how it all starts.
We need to speak to HR about getting him on the payroll.
On the what now?
Oh, yeah, some pay would be nice. I've done a lot of these with not even expenses.
You can speak to your agent.
Here again.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think it'd be easier, Matt, if we paid Andy in beer.
No, there's no point. He's got his own pub. What would be the point of that?
Yeah, yeah.
You can pay me in beer if you like.
Okay.
Extra kegs, travellers' checks, anything.
Do you now? Oh, well, never mind.
And joining us tonight, it gives me great pleasure to welcome back. He's not been on for a blooming long while, but he's one man who would give a Castlebane 4X for a pint of Foster's.
Oh, my goodness.
It's Grant!
You are.
Were you trying to catch me throwing up or something?
I could say, yeah. Grant, please feel free to leave after that. That is outrageous.
You do realise the only place where Foster's is made is in the UK.
Yeah.
We kicked it out of Australia. You can find it here, but it's It's Australian for get out, mate. We don't want you no more.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow. Yeah, 4X. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, mate. I had my beers last night. I picked up a new keg from my son, who is the award-winning home brewer these days.
That's no way to talk about producer John.
Well, I wasn't going to mention it.
Yes, you have a visitor with you, don't you? But
Yeah, I do, which is one of the reasons why my backdrop is not my usual studio full of aircraft models and things like that.
But it's great to see you, Grant. What's been going on in the world of McCarran?
Work, etc. Oh, and a little bit of fun. I am now a current hot air balloon pilot again. Yeah, went out and did that. I know, right? It is no longer safe to be anywhere.
Excellent.
I'm a menace to anything in the air. Yes, birds too. So that was really good fun. It was great to get back on the burners and get back in the air. So did that. Yeah, but otherwise, a lot of stuff going on at day job. Aeronautical information for the win, IT systems and things like that. So that's always good fun, helping to ensure aircraft get from where they're supposed to be to where they're supposed to be and approach and depart in the dark and rain, which we've had a bit of down here in Melbourne a little lately.
Don't talk to me about rain. Don't talk to me about rain.
Yeah, I know. Have you built your ark yet?
Yeah, working on it, yeah.
Excellent. And, of course, the other big news down here, not for me personally, but for the Plane Crazy Down Under kind of world, is that producer Steve, a.k.a. Steve Vischer, he likes to say, it's good to be here. In fact, right now, it's good to be anywhere right now.
Well, yes.
He's on the mend, as I think all of you now know. He had a little bit of a surprise one Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon. He was on the way to work and dropped into the doctor, and next thing you know, he's in hospital and winds up with a triple bypass. So anyhow...
as you do.
He's out. He's good. Yeah, I know, right? It's
yeah.
And if you go to proceedaspect.com, that'll redirect to his blog where he's written about it, and it's interesting to read. But he's getting checked out. He's allowed to drive cars, and he's on the way back towards driving trains again, and that will be a wonderful thing for him. So very, very happy that Steve is on the mend and starting to climb the walls of boredom because he can't get out and do things as much as he'd like. But yeah, getting there.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things I was going to say was how is Steve? We did all thinking about him. I'm sure all the community as well have all been wondering how Steve has been getting on. So it's good to hear he's getting back to full strength.
Yeah, it's good to have him back. I mean, we managed to get an episode out despite him.
Despite his best efforts, yeah. I mean, it's an extreme length to go to get out of a recording, isn't it?
Well, the fun part was after he'd had the mild heart attack and he was in the hospital waiting to get Kit and I went over to visit him, and as we're there, his wife Kathy comes in, and I just immediately looked at Steve and said, well, that's a hell of a way to get the four of us back together and hang out in person, because we hadn't for months.
Right.
So, yeah. But no, it's all good.
So we better say hello to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. I'm going to say hello to Lee Davies. He was in there bright and early this evening. Richard Adams is also in there. Nick Codling, he's also in the chat room. Hello, Nick. Dirk S, hello to you, Dirk. Mazouz, our local listener Mazouz, is also in there. Grinner, hello, Grinner. Good to see you. Richard is in there as well. Got a special mention for Richard coming up later on the show, actually. We've got Grant McCarran is also in there. Oh, hello, Grant. Nice to see you in the chat room. Alex is in there.
Is there anyone in the chat room who isn't on this call right now? Right
Captain
now?
Jeff is great. Interesting name there, I think, from Neil. Yes, Neil is there. Change his name. Cat Ridiculous Wits, hello to you as well. Masha, good to see you, Masha, in the chat room. Bill is also in there. Neil as well, good to see you, Neil. Let me just make sure I don't miss anyone out at all. Let me scroll down, make sure I don't miss anyone. No, I think I missed one. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in this evening in the YouTube chat room. Don't forget, if you're listening to us as an audio show, we are on YouTube every Friday night from 7 o'clock. And while you're there, click that subscribe and bell icon as well to be notified when we are live on a Friday night. So we've got tons to get through tonight, including the answer for the quiz that we set last week on the show. If you missed out on that, you've still got time to enter. Just find the details over on our Facebook page. You can enter the show by emailing us your answer. But in the meantime, if everyone is ready to go with some commercial news.
Sure.
Let's go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
First news story this week comes to us from edition.cnn, and it's all back to the old Air Force One debacle again. Boeing has now lost more than $1 billion on each of the president's new jets. Boeing on Wednesday this week reported another £482 million in Reading on the contract to retrofit two 747s for the next generation presidential plane. Boeing has now lost more than $1 billion on each of the two jets. The company has been reporting losses on the planes for years, as CEO Dave Coulthard admitted last year that the company should never have signed the contract with Air Force to produce the jets for $3.9 billion. Supply costs have also soared since then, and the delivery date has been continually pushed back. Boeing took $1.45 billion in losses on the planes last year and $318 million in 2021. Air Force One, they said, is just going to have to call a very unique moment, a very unique negotiation, a very unique set of risks that Boeing probably shouldn't have taken, Colquhoun said. When discussing the $660 million of those losses reported at the time, but where are we? The company said the latest loss on the program is a result of engineering changes, labor instability, as well as the resolution of negotiations with one of its suppliers. Well, it doesn't mention the paint job there that they messed around with, does it? Very often, higher costs on defence contracts can be passed on to taxpayers in the US. But under pressure from then President Donald Trump, who was threatening to cancel the contract for the current planes, Boeing agreed to a fixed price contract on the two new jets. In a fixed price environment, any unplanned hurdles can introduce unrecoverable costs, Colquhoun told investors Wednesday. At the end of the day, he said, we have two planes to build. We're getting past these hurdles and are committed to delivering two exceptional planes for our customer. Technically, the program is known as the VC-25B, since the famous Air Force One designation is reserved for when the president is actually on board the aircraft and when it's on the ground, let alone under construction. The latest loss on Air Force One jets is only a fraction of the losses reported by the troubled aircraft manufacturer, which has reported losses in all but 2 quarters since early 2019. Losses at the company now total $25.5 billion since the grounding of its 737 MAX jets 20 months ago, starting in March of 2019, following the fatal crashes we all talked about. The story goes on. It's, I just want to see these aircraft in the sky, to be fair. It's been going on a long while now. And what with the paint changes that I think the previous President Trump suggested, the colour changes. I think it was a red colour he chose, wasn't it? On the Grant, you'll probably know this. I think it was a red colour.
From memory, I believe you're right on that.
Yeah.
But look, this is poor Boeing. Oh dear, between the KC-46 and this, they're being taken to the cleaners for multiple justifiable reasons in some ways. But we'll see if they can turn the corner and come on around, because once they get over this one, then I'm sure there will be, right now that it's operational, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching will be the sound of every dollar going to Boeing's coffers as that aircraft flies past.
Yeah, I mean the pictures Matt put up on there, it does look really nice in the original Air Force One colours, I think.
Well, part of the problem is it's a civilian aircraft. that they're trying to make across the military. So they've had to redo wiring, they've had to redo all sorts of systems, and it doesn't have air-to-air refueling. So it can't stay up there for ages like the current ones do. And that's a big part of the current ones is they just refuel when the president's up there. So, yeah, it's an interesting one all round.
So forgive my, I don't know, daft question, I suppose, here, and I'm sure there'll be strong arguments for this, but why is there a desperation to change Air Force One other than the fact that somebody wants a shiny new toy?
Because it's old and it costs a lot of money per flight hour to keep it in the air.
But it's the President of the United States. I mean, surely they don't care about that.
Well, you'd think, but they're trying to fight wars on multiple fronts. They're trying, like, I don't know if you've seen how NASA's budget is now going down the toilet.
Oh, is it?
Well, I'm going to say something really controversial here.
Oh no.
I know, right? It's me. There's a number of people just waiting for the US to default.
Oh, really?
They're not like floating in cash, mate.
Oh.
It's like, the family's living from paycheck to paycheck and going backwards. Well, that's the US at the moment. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to get shot. But look, they just can't keep throwing money at aircraft that may not have the reliability as well. I mean, how many 747-200s do you see out there flying civilian?
True.
None.
Yeah.
Anyone? Bueller? So yeah, that's a major factor. So they need to replace it. They had to have a 4-engine jet, and they couldn't have an A380 or an A340 or anything like that. Perish the thought of the president of the free world flying around on a supposedly European aircraft that is, let's face it, Airbus aircraft have a number of US components, and there's an A320 assembly line in Mobile, in Alabama. These are things to think about, but yeah, they need a new aircraft. They've got to have that reliability. I'm sure David Vanderhoof will be giving me a yell and going, "No, Grant, you missed this, and this." But that's what friends are for. But it's economics. They have to do it.
So, going to move on to another sad story for Boeing. Matt, you've got the next one all about, obviously, story number 2, Ryanair, and this is another knock for Boeing.
Indeed. It's simpleflying.com is the source on this one. And the headline, Ryanair considering cancelling Boeing 737 MAX orders. While Ryanair CEO is known for being vocal, he has claimed that if Boeing's deliveries for the ultra-low-cost carriers 737 MAX orders continue to be delayed, the airline might reject their delivery. The airline expects to receive up to 57 no later than April 2024. That's really not far away, is it, if they've not had very many? O'Leary is sceptical about receiving the latest aircraft on time, given Boeing's latest delayed delivery forecast, which outlines the manufacturer may only deliver between 375 and 400 new aircraft globally. Ryanair has outlined that the continued delays have already been predicted to hit hard on the airline's European winter schedule, which the carrier claimed may disrupt up to 1.4 million passengers across the continent. Boeing is yet to comment as to whether the delivery delays are going to affect the Ryanair delivery deadline. The usual outspoken O'Leary has reiterated the importance of receiving new aircraft on time to facilitate its continued growth and maintain low fares. The airline is also looking to capitalise on many grounded Airbus aircraft due to the Pratt & Whitney engine faults. With the airline's CEO unconvinced he will receive the ordered aircraft on time, O'Leary recently spoke with The Telegraph and expressed his frustration. Boeing needs to get its act together and start delivering these aircraft on time. I had a lot of sympathy for Boeing. The MAX was grounded for 2 years, but that was 2 years ago. It's time for them to go get their beep together and start delivering these aircraft. Sorry, we're not going to turn this suddenly into the COVID inquiry, obviously, that was broadcast on the radio here in full in the UK. That was quite a shock when I tuned into Radio 4 at 10:30 on a Thursday morning. get these aircraft delivered, they're saying. Ryanair has also been expecting up to 27 new 737 MAX aircraft before the end of the year. However, more recent reports have outlined that the carrier will likely only take a possession of 14 new aircraft. That is not going to please him at all, is it? According to data from CH Aviation, the ULCC is still awaiting 84 of its 737 MAX 8200 aircraft in total. However, 57 were contractually expected by the end of May next year. Yeah. I mean,
It's all bluster.
is it, do you think?
He won't.
Where else is he going to get aircraft from?
Well, yes, I suppose. Yeah.
The Airbus production line is rammed until the end of this decade, minimum. He's not going to change fleet. That costs too much money.
Yeah. And,
Granted,
they haven't got the infrastructure for like, you know, so say they suddenly decided, right, okay, we're going to get Airbus ones. I know you're saying that, you know, there's similar problems with Airbus as well, but I mean, it's not like they're not even set up in terms of maintenance or anything, are they, at this stage? And they certainly won't
they are.
are they?
Yeah, because the Ryanair group have Lauda. They own Lauda and they're an Airbus operator.
Yeah, of course they do, yeah.
But if they really want to, they can just move aircraft from all the subsidiaries that they've got to fill the gaps. It's just Michael O'Leary being Michael O'Leary and trying to get some money out of Boeing, essentially.
They haven't got any.
Who, Boeing or
Boeing haven't got any. They haven't got any. They can't allow them. I mean, they'll be giving away the aircraft next. Oh, here's a 737 MAX. How much? Yeah. Oh, give it to you for £3.50. Yeah.
Half a packet of Quavers and a Curly Whirly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Frodo chocolate. You know. Here we go.
Of course. Yes. Yeah.
No, he isn't going to cancel it. And plus the fact, don't forget as well that when you look at the fleet, Ryanair's fleet, you know, some of those original Dash 800s now are getting quite long in the tooth, and they have probably done more rotations than the Earth around the Sun. I expect some of those 73s. So, yeah, they'll be buying them. Don't you worry. Andy, you have got the next story over at Heathrow.
I have, yes, and this is from simpleflying.com. This is London Heathrow Airport is set to revive third runway plans next year. London Heathrow Airport appears to be eyeing a resumption of its plans to construct a third runway amid a resurgence in demand, according to its chief financial officer. Following an array of pandemic-induced setbacks, the stalled campaign to grow Heathrow's operational capacity may resume in the new year, CFO Javier Echevar has confirmed. In a statement shared with the Telegraph, he noted Heathrow's continued pandemic recovery, as well as new CEO Thomas Woodleby's apparent plans to reopen communications with the surrounding community and passengers at the airport on a potential expansion. A detailed update is not expected until early 2024, according to The Independent, and he clarified that the airport's current focus is on returning to profit. Heathrow Airport anticipates hitting its pre-pandemic peak of 80.9 million yearly passengers in 2024, though current forecasts project around 79.3 million passengers by the end of 2023. The airport's previous infrastructure plans, announced back in 2019, would see an investment of $14 billion, so that's $17 billion US dollars, to construct a full-length runway northwest of the campus, a new terminal building on the site of Terminal 3, and improved infrastructure around the region. According to Heathrow, the expansion would provide capacity for an additional 260,000 annual flights, over a 50% increase on its current limitation of 480,000 movements. Despite being given the go-ahead by the UK government in 2018, Heathrow's expansion plans have been controversial, garnering criticism from nearby residents, airlines and environmental groups over the impact of further growth in the surrounding area. And the project also received a notable setback in 2020 following a ruling by the UK Court of Appeal that the expansion violated the Paris Climate Agreement, but this verdict was overturned later that year by the Supreme Court. So they've still got plenty of hurdles to get round.
No doubt about that, and I'm surprised that you know they still want to go ahead with this. You know, it's been dragging on for so long now. It just seems like for years. I think they were talking about this, Matt, when we had our very first visit all those years ago at Heathrow with Adam. And they were talking about the runway expansion back then, and that was a fair few years ago. We first
true.
So
very true.
The only way to truly expand Heathrow is it's going to cause a lot of pain for people because you're going to have to knock down houses.
Yeah. That was one of the things I was interested about, actually, was when you look at essentially what they'd be looking at doing is knocking down all of the kind of hotels and stuff that run alongside the airport, as well as quite a big area of housing, and the actual level of upheaval that it would create to that part of London. I don't know. Do we think it's worth it? You know,
Definitely
obviously
knocking down the hotels. Some of those are shocking along that boundary fence. I've stayed in several of them, and they're awful.
In terms of obviously from the point of view of Heathrow, just want more people through the airport, don't they? Because they make more money that way.
Yeah, but if you knock down all the hotels, then that's not going to help.
It's huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of independent car parks along that boundary as well.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
So you want to expand to get more people in, but you're removing the area where people can park.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
but they're going to come in on EV tolls, train, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's
they
go
traveling on the high speed train, the HS2.
Oh, exactly.
Well, come on, we're getting very political all of a sudden. Let's move on, shall we?
Okay, let's move on. Nick, do you want to take the next one, all about the private jets?
Yeah, so we were going to have, this was one that actually Armando put in, and I think he was going to do this one, but ended up flying one instead.
Oh, as you do.
You know what he's like.
Yeah.
So private jets are known for their luxury and convenience, but did you know they also fly higher than commercial planes? There are many reasons why private jets can reach altitudes of up to 51,000 feet, while most commercial planes stay between 30 and 40,000 feet. Here are some factors that make private jets soar above the rest. You might be curious about the cruising altitude of private jets in comparison to commercial planes. Typically, okay, we've just done this. Thank you, Simple Flying. I think this is from, oh no, my bad, interestingengineering.com. Yeah, most commercial aircraft operate approximately 35,000 feet and are certified to fly up to 41,000 feet. Certain wide-body aircraft, such as the A380, A350, and Boeing 787, have higher certifications, reaching up to 43,100 feet. Okay, we're getting into the nerdy weeds now. Like the 787-10, A350-1000, that both rated lower at 41,100. Okay, well, I don't think we quite need to go into that level of detail. Most medium and large private jets typically operate at altitudes higher than this, often surpassing the altitude due to reduced air traffic and fewer restrictions. Many aircraft, including the Gulfstream G650 and 650ER, the Bombardier, Matt.
Bombardier, dear. How dare you?
You're welcome.
Well, that I didn't expect.
Global Express or Challenger jets, Cessna Citation X and the Dassault Falcon 7X have maximum ratings of 51,000 feet. On the other hand, the Embraer Legacy and Praetor jets, how are we saying that? Along with the Cessna Citation Longitude and Excel jets have a slightly lower rating, 45,000. So safety is a paramount concern for all aircraft, but private jets have more flexibility regarding regulations and systems. In the case of cabin depressurization, commercial planes have to descend quickly to a safe altitude below 10,000 feet with enough oxygen for passengers. This requires special design features and safety equipment such as oxygen masks and emergency slides. Private jets, however, can descend faster and have different levels of cabin pressurization and oxygen supply. They also have less risk of fuselage damage from engine failure, as their aircraft engines are located at the plane's rear, away from the pressurized cabin. Flying at higher altitudes also benefits performance and fuel economy. At higher altitudes, the air is thinner and cooler, which improves the efficiency of jet engines and reduces fuel consumption. Of course, this has to be balanced against the fuel required to reach those altitudes, which is more of an issue for heavier commercial planes. Private jets also have engines with lower bypass ratios, which means they use more air from the engine's core rather than the fan around it. And this optimizes the performance at higher altitudes. Private jets are designed to be agile and efficient with a higher power to weight ratio than commercial planes. And I think that this is the key to it, really. This means they can climb faster and maintain higher speeds at higher altitudes, where the air is thinner and offers less resistance. Commercial aircraft, on the other hand, are heavier and bulkier with more passengers and cargo on board. They also need more enormous wings to support their weight at higher altitudes, which is why some models, such as the Boeing 777X, have folded wings to save space on the ground. Weather and turbulence also affect the comfort and safety of flying. At 35,000 feet, commercial planes are already above most weather phenomena, although we'll get onto a really cool story about that in a minute. But they can still encounter turbulence from wind shear or jet streams, and this can be unpleasant for passengers and crew, as well as cause structural stress on the plane. Private jets can avoid these problems by flying even higher, where the air is calmer and clearer. They also have more options to change course or altitude if they encounter bad weather or turbulence. Air traffic is another factor that affects the choice of altitude. Commercial planes must follow predefined flight paths and altitudes, which are often crowded and congested. This can lead to delays and diversions, as well as increased fuel burn and emissions. Private jets have more freedom to choose their routes and altitudes, which are usually less busy and more direct. And this saves time and money, as well as reduces the environmental impact. So, as you can see, there are many reasons why private jets fly higher than commercial planes. I think chiefly among them being essentially higher performance, which means they're able to go a little bit quicker, which allows them to go a little bit higher. Andy might be able to give a slightly more technical answer than me.
Yeah, I do like the claiming that these are more environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
when you're carrying 9 or 10 passengers versus 186 or 230.
Yeah, let's not look at the carbon footprint.
Yes, but what you're doing, but what you're missing the point there is you're carrying 9 or 10 very important passengers. That's the difference.
And let's not forget that a certain member of this Zoom call has had the pleasure of flying in said business jet, haven't they, Matt Smith?
I think the line's gone dead. Sorry,
he's in a tunnel.
It was only a Hawker, wasn't it?
Oh,
it was a very nice Hawker.
You got the pronunciation right there.
Yes.
You're welcome. Grew up in New Zealand. It happens. I was just trying to give you an out there, Matt. But it's not like it was a Gulfstream G650 or something. They're trust me, they're rather nice. They're beautiful aircraft.
I mean, I'd love to say that it was something that I knew and or understood any of those things that just came out of your mouth, but
that generally happens whenever I'm talking. Don't worry.
It was a pretty plane. That's all I know. And to back up the power of this story beautifully, it was a 17-minute flight, and I was the only passenger.
I mean, yeah, but that's the killer bit in it. You were the only passenger.
Yeah. Carbon. How much?
Yeah. We don't think about. We don't.
Does that mean you had to pour your own gin and tonic, Matt?
It was actually. Yeah, it was very, very poor. Actually, I was furious. I was absolutely furious.
Somebody had to open your own peanuts as well.
Yeah. There were crisps on board. I have to say there were crisps. There was no peanuts on board. You're not allowed peanuts apparently because they're some people are allergic to them. So
what the only sole passenger?
Yeah. Well. yeah.
Yes, but the ones who come afterwards.
Well, quite.
So
indeed. Yes, in answer to your question, I did have a lovely flight on a lovely 17-minute flight on a private jet. Yes,
you're very lucky.
With Armando as one of the 2 pilots taking very good care of me.
And that is where the word treat comes in full effect there. Not only were you on a business jet, you were being flown by our very own Armando.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, indeed.
Now, Grant, you have got the next story. He says, looking at him in his face there, looks shocked.
That could be tricky. I don't have access to the show notes.
Okay, all right,
This is what happens when you're a last minute ring-in. You just get to comment.
It's a short story. It's okay. I'll take the. Actually, no, I won't take this. I'll tell you what, Andy, as the resident pilot in the mix
Unlucky,
here, do you
Andy.
want to take this next story?
Yes, and I've got lots of issues with this story.
Goody. Lovely.
I'd be shocked if you didn't, mate.
This is from airlive.net. A powerful jet stream is currently pushing commercial aircraft up to the speed of sound. Planes flying from east coast of Canada to Europe are taking benefits from a very strong jet stream. Several commercial flights from the US to the UK are reaching the ground speed of 660 knots, which is 1,222 kilometers per hour. British Airways Boeing 787-10, that's Golf Zulu Bravo Lima Foxtrot, was reaching 660 knots when flying over Nova Scotia. At 20 degrees Celsius, the speed of sound in air is about 343 meters per second, which is about 667 knots or 1,234 kilometers per hour or 767 miles per hour. There we go, there's the numbers. Airspeed is the vector difference between the ground speed and the wind speed. On a perfectly still day, the airspeed is equal to the ground speed. But if the wind is blowing in the same direction that the aircraft is moving, the airspeed will be less than the ground speed. Okay, that was a nice statement. The British Airways A350 from Las Vegas to London Heathrow took only 8 hours and 45 minutes, when it usually takes almost 10 hours.
Okay, now before you get into this, Andy, we've got no Nev, but I feel like I need to play this just before we get started.
Attention, this is the final call for British Airways Flight 475. Paging for passenger Mr. Neville Mounts. Your seat 1A is waiting for you.
Indeed.
Yes.
Right, go nuts.
So at 20 degrees C, it is correct that the speed of sound is around 667 knots. But up at that altitude, it's around minus 53 degrees Celsius, so the speed of sound is much higher. So none of these aircraft were getting close to the speed of sound, and also their true airspeed won't have been anywhere near as high as their ground speed, so they're not actually travelling through that part of the air up towards the speed of sound. There you are. That's my rant.
And today on Plain Physics UK, and it's totally justified and 100% correct. And this is why, now, this same level of accuracy can also be found in all other parts of mainstream media. Remember that, kids, next time you're reading the news.
Exactly.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
But hey, there's one thing they didn't say in this story. What's it going to be like going the other way?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got in
15
8 hours instead of 10. Yeah.
At least you can enjoy business class for longer.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yes, that's a thought. Yeah.
Anything over 2 or 3 hours and it's business class for me, mate. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And, and there's me taking carbon credits, tearing them up. Yes, I'm in business class. Yeah. Environment be damned. Why, yes, I do drive a gas-guzzling car. No, I don't, actually. Well, the RX-7 does chew a bit of fuel, but that's because it's a rotary. Anyhow.
While he eats his peanuts.
It's all right. I literally saw Nick's eyes explode with a grin and like hello, speaking his language there.
Absolutely. Can we look at some facts and figures, if we may? So, as Andy said, it's all about the ground speed rather than the airspeed. So, although it's not possible to break the sound barrier because you've got a tailwind, so you're not actually exceeding the speed of sound. The current record, I'm very pleased to say, is still held by a British Airways 747 for a subsonic flight, which had a ground speed of 825 miles an hour. So I always think next time you're on an aeroplane, have a think about that when you're sipping your gin and tonic, that you could be doing 800 miles an hour. I think that's
There
super
was
cool.
one time coming out of Canberra back to Melbourne that we were getting a ground speed of about, I think it was 240 knots. And that was because they'd gone to one runway at Melbourne after we'd taken off from Canberra. So to make sure that we weren't going into a holding pattern, they just said, slow down, guys. So I was talking to the tech crew after we landed. And I'm like, guys, I had pretty much that same speed in a twin-engine reciprocating propeller Beechcraft Baron the other day. And they're like, yeah, shut up, don't tow it. They were so bored on the flight deck. It was like, oh my God, we're just sitting there going, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah. Is this over yet?
If I
But
see the
that
ground
was a
speed,
combination.
if I see the ground speed drop below 360 knots, I think, why am I bothering?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is going to take forever.
But basically, it was that or go into a holding pattern or be vectored for control or amusement.
Yeah.
So they just
And
slowed
likewise,
right down.
on approach, I've been flying into Keflavik before with 70-knot headwinds, and my ground speed has been slower than a Twin Star that I used to fly a long time ago.
But if you want to see real classic helicopter maneuvering in a fixed wing, watch the good old days of a DHC-4 Caribou. Hang on, was it the DHC-4? Yeah, the Caribou, anyhow, trying to land into a stiff headwind. I watched one almost come down vertically over the threshold. It was a very good threshold, and he was headwind, and he was having some fun.
There's quite a good video on Instagram that I've seen. I think it's a Cessna 150 that's basically stationary. and you can see it's just flying into a head. It's not, well, it is flying, but it's just not moving. And then eventually the pilot just thinks, "I'll stuff this," and turns around and sort of flies back the other way because he's just not going anywhere.
At 3 times the speed he was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a Cessna 150. You know, I mean, it's not going anywhere real quick anyhow. But yeah.
Well, we'll get onto that in the caption this.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey,
Actually,
I remember.
Awesome.
I remember seeing that at the air shows that me and Matt used to go to at Seething here. They had a Cessna bird dog. Now, Grant, you'll know what the Cessna bird dog is. Remember seeing that, and that was quite a windy day. Not enough to stop the air show, but it was enough to make the bird dog look like it was just, well, basically the guy would have gone faster if he had had an oar and kind of, rode along through the air. But yeah,
A friend has done that out the window of a Piper Cub as he was going past into a headwind. As we were on the ground, he's gone out the side like he's rowing. Had the door down and everything. It was great.
Now, moving on. Next story comes to us from theguardian.com.
Where we go for
stories.
all of our
And
aviation
it's another one of those stories. We haven't had one for a while, but disabled man drags himself off a plane after Air Canada fails. How could you fail to offer someone a wheelchair? Air Canada has been forced to apologise after a man with a cerebral palsy was forced to drag himself off an aircraft when the flagship carrier failed to provide him with a wheelchair. Rodney Hodgins, 49, a hardware salesman from British Columbia who requires the use of a motorised wheelchair, flew to Las Vegas with his wife to celebrate their anniversary in August. When the aircraft landed, the flight attendant told the couple there wasn't time to get a wheelchair on board before the plane had to depart for takeoff again. Mrs. Hodgins wrote in a recent Facebook post, the flight attendant said he would have to pull himself off the plane alone. The couples at first thought she was joking. Then she repeated the request. I said, of course I can't. I'm in a wheelchair, he said. I can't walk, he told the Canadian press. Hodgins was forced to use his upper body strength to haul himself past 12 rows of seats with his wife holding his legs. In her Facebook post, Miss Hodgins said the event left the couple devastated. I cannot believe this. She said it took us struggling in front of a dozen people, and as some looked away and others looked on with shame to get him off the aircraft. He hurt his legs, and I hurt my back, she said, emotionally, and a lot more was hurt. My husband's human rights were trampled on, and Air Canada won't respond to us and never did reach out like they promised, she wrote. Rod is the most beautiful human on the planet, she said, and didn't deserve this at all. The company acknowledged Hodgins received inadequate support, and they said that we used the services of a third-party wheelchair assistance specialist in Las Vegas to provide safe transport on and off aircraft. The statement read. Following on from the investigation into how this serious service lapse occurred, they said they will be evaluating other mobility assistance service partners in Las Vegas. Now they won't do that. In October, Air Canada lost the wheelchair of a Canadian Chief Accessibility Officer, Stephanie Cadelot, who was described the experiences as immensely frustrating and dehumanizing. Cadeau said the incident reflected a need for airlines to improve accessibility. Hodgins says he was offered 2,000 Canadian dollars, a flight voucher, by the airline, but said compensation would not fix the problem of how the airline failed its disabled passengers. He said, I just wanted to make a difference for somebody else so they won't have to experience this again, he said. Ow. I mean, Matt, you've had experiences before, obviously, when you've been away with Mama Smith. We have had, obviously, the services of, is it Swissport who
well, it depends on which. It depends on which airport,
Was it
which
the
airline, etc., etc. But it's usually
it depends. In Europe, it depends on the airport. It's an airport service, not an airline service.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's.
We just
Go on.
Sorry, Matt. Oh, we just went over to New Zealand with my 83-year-old mobility challenged and hearing challenged mother, and flew Qantas there and back. Yet don't say it, but did. And Air New Zealand while in country, and we did the wheelchair service, booked it, and all that kind of stuff. And A, the staff were fantastic. B, Mother Dearest felt like she was queen of the world for a variety of reasons, but they really looked after us. And the other side of it is, we got to the head of the queue, and we never would have made our domestic transit in time in Auckland without that wheelchair. I tell you, it's so good.
Yeah,
we were in the lounge faster than ever on the way out of Sydney. Great.
I mean, that very much reflects my experience as well when we've been using the service. It's and I mean the last time that we used it, because it was sort of like post mum's hip hop, and we were sort of thinking we'd be okay, and actually when we got to the airport and started doing the walk, we discovered that we weren't going to be okay. But I mean, I went to them and said, look, I'll push the chair. I don't need to borrow anyone, but, we're in this scenario here, and I want to sort of take the stress out of it for mum, etc., etc. And they were like, no, not a problem at all. We'll get it. And that was it. We were in the queue with everyone else. They found some. They wouldn't let. I guess it must be an insurance thing, because they wouldn't let me push the chair and all that kind of thing. So I guess that was probably the reason why. But again, I mean, it's just like you don't need to waste your money on the you don't have to waste your money on like sort of like speedy boarding or anything like that, because you beat even them. It's brilliant. But
actually, Dirk S makes a good point, Matt, in the chat room. Says too much subcontracting around.
The problem is, I can't speak for the States, but especially in the UK, it is a service that has to be provided by the airport.
Yeah.
And then that's down to the airport. I mean, we all pay for it. There's a charge on your ticket for it that everybody pays. You just don't know it, just like every other charge that goes in there. And 9 out of 10 times, obviously, I see a lot of people requiring assistance. And 9 out of 10 times, they're there, friendly, happy, get on, and then that one time you have to wait 2-3 hours for them to arrive because there's been issues or lots of flights or whatever. And those days, obviously, it's a bit of a pain. But I think it's really bad form from Air Canada to say, well, you've just got to get off because we've got to go. I mean, I'd never consider doing that. You just sit and wait. If you've got to delay the flight, you've got to delay the flight. It's not your fault.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely.
Is it your job, Andy, as flight deck crew to radio ahead if there is someone with special requirements on board?
We send them via AirCars. We send a message. It's just sort of a backup message. It should automatically, as part of because they put it on the booking, so it should already be known ahead of time. But then, just as part of the course,
belt and braces type sort of thing.
Yeah, we have a specific page on our messaging system for special assistants. So we put down what code they are, how many we need, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Andy, we're going to stick with you for the next story.
I've noticed I'm getting loads of work tonight.
I know. We're making you work for your beer this week.
What you mean?
Sorry, Andy.
That he's paying.
You've got to pick up the page. You got to pick up my slack because I'm not reading. I don't have the show notes, so you got to make up for me. Sorry, buddy.
I mean, producer John is right next to you. If anybody can give you access to the show notes, it would be producer John.
Well, I guess I could always lean over and read on his screen, but that's going to be a great video of me doing this.
Lovely, yeah, true.
Andy, it'd be good to hear your thoughts on this story.
Oh,
obviously,
no, I haven't got to get the stinger ready again, have I? Oh,
no. After obviously we had the story, didn't we, the other week about the incident on a flight deck of an aircraft, but this is another one this week.
This takes it to does it take it to the next level? I think it does. So this is from airlive.net. Delta first officer pulls gun on captain and threatens to shoot him.
What?
A now former Delta co-pilot was federally indicted earlier this month, accused of threatening to shoot the captain of a commercial flight last year if he diverted the plane because a passenger on board may have been suffering a medical emergency, authorities confirmed on Tuesday. According to court documents, a Utah grand jury indicted Jonathan Dunn with one count of interference with a flight crew. The purported incident occurred on August the 22nd, 2022, on a flight that day. The Department of Transportation's Inspector General's office said in a news release on Tuesday, but did not specify the airline where the flight originated from or its destination. However, a Delta Airlines spokesperson confirmed that Dunn was working for Delta as a Delta first officer at the time of the incident. According to the Inspector General, Dunn, the co-pilot, had a disagreement with the captain who wanted to potentially divert the flight due to a passenger medical event. Dunn then allegedly told the captain they would be shot multiple times if the flight was diverted, the Inspector General said. Dunn was authorised to carry a gun, and I think this is mental, as part of the TSA Federal Flight Deck Officer Program. Federal Flight Deck officers are airline pilots authorised by the TSA to be armed in the cockpit on domestic flights. They undergo special training to do so and are provided with a TSA-issued weapon to defend the flight deck against an attempted hijacking. The two-page incident alleged that Dunn did assault and intimidate a crew member of an aircraft and did use a dangerous weapon in assaulting and intimidating the crew member. In a statement Tuesday evening, a spokesperson from, it's just going to have the same thing, the TSA is aware of an incident involving a federal flight deck officer. Delta told in a statement Tuesday evening that Dunn was no longer, thankfully, employed by the airline, but refrained from commenting further pending the investigation. Wow. Ow.
I mean, wow.
He must have had a really hot day. There must have been something to stop him. Like, it's a medical diversion. Somebody might be dying in the back, and then you pull a gun. That poor captain. He's already got the stress of thinking, right, we need to move, divert, do all this stuff, and then you turn around and you've got a barrel of a gun in your face saying, don't you dare.
I mean, the other frustration in this is, your role surely as first officer is to be of assistance to the captain and to ensure that his tasks, that he gets to decide what happens, are, your job is to only sort of really question it if you think he's doing something stupid. And diverting from medical emergency, I would argue, is not something that's, stupid to do.
It's basically a hijacking.
It is. Well, yeah.
Really.
First officers are always supposed to say, "Good landing, Captain. Yes, I'll pick up the bar tab," which is the politically correct new version. I mean, calling the gun.
I did wonder if you were going to do the whole version there, Grant. This is a bit risky.
To use the famous phrase, family show, sir. Family show.
We'll discuss that one later because I want to know more about that now.
This is without question. This is without question a story I never thought we would see on this show. Honestly,
I'm surprised it hasn't come sooner because they've been allowed to carry guns for a long time.
Mm.
Well, there is this perhaps foolish, as it now turns out, assumption that the people sitting in the cockpit aren't morons.
Well, let's not forget what happened the other week with the guy with the engine masters, the FedEx guy who tried to kill them all.
Yeah,
there's loads of them.
German wings.
German wings, yeah. We're not pilots. Pilots are people too. People.
Are they? Oh no, steady. No. You're superhuman, aren't you? Isn't that?
No.
No.
What about balloon pilots?
Oh God, no!
Oh, no,
They're not people.
No,
They're not people.
No, they're just out and out nuts.
Exhibit A, right here.
The very fact that he's changed the background, for those of you listening to the audio version of this, to a Monty Python graphic behind him, just says everything you need to know about what's wrong with balloon pilots.
No, this is a UK show. What better way to show affinity with the UK show? You know,
Absolutely. No. I love them, but I am nuts. That's
Peace and solidarity, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate the support in this difficult time.
Now, moving on to the next story, Matt. I know this is one of your favourite subjects.
Now, are you?
Yes,
Right,
I know.
okay.
One of your favourite subjects, obviously, is the Formula One.
Well, no, but I should stress here that I know absolutely nothing about it. The reason why I love watching the Grand Prix is because I usually get to do it with my best friend, and that is the reason why I love watching the Formula One. But anyway,
you didn't know anything about aviation when you started either. Look at you now.
I still don't know
I know.
about aviation at all.
He says this every time, Grant. He says he comes out with this one line every time. Oh, I'm not doing anything about aviation, and then every now and again on a live show, he'll say
I'm sorry,
something.
what? You don't get away with that.
Every now and again on a live show, Matt will come out with a little gem of a sentence.
Okay,
and we'll all just be sitting there in a Zoom call going.
Well, he also knows enough to recognise that aircraft parked behind you, not so much for the paint job, but more for the manufacturer and aircraft type. And I'm surprised he hasn't had PTSD looking at that most of the flight.
It's because I genuinely didn't realise that it was I genuinely didn't realise it was
a stretched long tube, which when you're waiting for everyone else to get off, takes forever. Being on a 757, but they're a lovely aircraft. Anyhow,
thank you, Grant.
You keep saying that, and I still don't believe you.
Anyway, Matt,
you've got to admit that they are beautiful aircraft.
You've got a video to play for this, Matt, but we'll save that when you're
frantically trying to. Oh no, it's already there. Sorry, no, it's all right. I've got it sorted. I've got it loaded it twice now to be doubly sure. Right. Okay, so anyway, as you were, this is yahoo.com. It's a video shows F1 TV helicopter getting hit by fireworks during the US Grand Prix. No American sporting event can begin without at least a few fireworks, on the Formula One Grand Prix in Austin, Texas was no different. However, the fireworks show that kicked off the Austin Grand Prix a couple of weekends ago didn't go as smoothly as planned, as a TV camera helicopter was caught in the middle. Thankfully, disaster was avoided. In a video from Twitter, user Bryson Sullivan, you can see the helicopter engulfed in fireworks explosions and even hear a bit of debris hit. Once the pilot realised they were in a dangerous spot, they flew away from the fireworks pretty quickly. The pilot avoided significant damage to the helicopter, but it would have been much worse, or it could have been much worse. It's definitely super dangerous, a source within the helicopter community told The Drive. A number of things that could go wrong. The windscreen are acrylic, so a firework could go right through and hurt the pilot. The engine could ingest something if there is no barrier filter. Debris could get into the rotor controls. The body panels are thin aluminium or carbon fibre, so it could puncture one of those and hit a flight control or wire. They also added, it's pretty horrifying to think about a helicopter engine potentially ingesting firework bits and failing, or the pilot being incapacitated from debris perforating the windscreen, all while flying above a venue with over 40,000 people in attendance. The video doesn't seem too scary at first, thanks to the pilot's quick thinking and even quicker hands, but it must have been a brown pants moment wow for that pilot when they heard the fireworks suddenly hit the helicopter. The fireworks were launched during the end of the Star Spangled Banner as per usual, though maybe next time let's not make the bombs bursting in the air literal.
Right, so Matt, you've got the video to play.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see what our resident pilots and balloon pilots think of this video.
Right, balloon pilots? I mean, there'd be many questions if Grant was hovering over the Grand Prix.
I wouldn't put it past him.
No, true. Right, okay,
I
here
was
we go.
bored, right? I wanted a good view.
I wanted a good view of the cars going whee! Right, here we go then.
Right, so for the benefit of those watching in audio land, it's a scene from the Grand Prix. Nice clear skies, good visibility.
Oh, nice little flag drop, all lined up nicely
Yes,
there. Yeah.
looking good.
There's the helicopter. Oh,
Yes.
oops.
He's actually flying towards the fireworks, which is interesting.
Okay.
Yes. Quick exit there.
Okay. I'm beginning to wonder if I've missed something.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I mean, he flew
Yeah.
towards them.
I mean,
Oh look, there's fireworks. I must fly towards them.
okay, hang on. Let's do. What about he was moving anyway, wasn't he? He wasn't just hovering, was he? No, he wasn't hovering. He was moving. Look.
I think there may have been a second video where it showed a slightly different angle, and it
Okay.
appeared as though the helicopter was hovering, and then he did a quick sort of shuffle off to one side.
All right. I mean, don't get me wrong, still very much a brown trousers moment, but certainly from that particular angle, it looks
It wasn't
like
very
he
good
was-
planning,
Yeah,
was it?
there was another video on Twitter, I think it was, or X,
Right.
whatever silly name they call it now.
Careful, he'll be after you.
I know it is taken from a different angle, which does look even worse, to be fair, than that. But yeah. I mean, if you want a good view, I suppose, of fireworks, I mean, the helicopter's a good place to be, but obviously not in amongst.
It's better to be at least 1,000 feet above fireworks. You do get a much better view when you're flying over them, as opposed to being surrounded by them, where you get an amazing view for a very short time.
So, producer John,
and
I think
PTSD flashbacks.
Producer John, I think, has found us another. I'm just trying to I was trying to find the. There's another one there, but it's not where I. Oh no, hang on. Sorry, I've just got to go. Chat amongst yourselves for a minute. Carry on.
Well, producer John has been saying some choice phrases about videos, but yes,
Indeed,
and which one to watch? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying.
And
to
more
find,
on that
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah. Oh. Hang on.
Just while Matt's sorting that out, for the benefit of all our chat room viewers, we have got another competition coming up later on the show with an awesome giveaway that's been donated by someone in the chat room. Richard, who's in our chat room this evening, has donated a great prize to give away this week, for next week's show. More on that later on, so make sure you stay tuned.
Indeed. Okay, so I do have the video here. Thank you, producer John. So this, let's see if this looks a little bit more. Carlos, if you could describe it, please, for our audio listeners.
Yeah, this is a different view of this one. So this is kind of taken from a side angle. But it does show the helicopter very much in amongst the fireworks going off.
Indeed.
I mean,
Yes, okay. In fact, you can actually on that one. You can hear the ting, can't you? As something obviously hit the rotor blades or something like that. Yeah. Okay. All right. That is a little more scary.
Not good. It's not good.
I'll give them that one. Yeah.
My question is, why did nobody tell them they were going to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Having been involved in a major sporting event where the left hand didn't quite know about what the right hand was going to do, it happens. It really does. We pulled off this amazing feat. It was incredible, but one of the primary sponsors had not been briefed that it was happening, so they were very upset. Yeah, and it happens. Somebody coordinating things didn't quite remind everyone that this area in the pre-flight briefing is going to be hot, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've sat through a lot of air show briefings as well, doing commentary. I sit in on the pilot briefings. And yeah, guys, this is the pyrotechnic box. If by chance you happen to land in that area, if you can, stay with the aircraft or be very careful as you run away from it, because there will be things that might go boom around you.
Quite.
So yeah, there's normally on the briefing, don't fly here.
Yeah, indeed. That's the thing, isn't it? And I say that angle actually shows, how much.
A bit more of a dramatic angle, that one, I think.
Yeah, well, and as you say, and on that audio, you can sort of pick up the ting as well of something clearly hitting. Yeah, it could have been a very different story there, couldn't it? Fortunately not, as you say. I bet that pilot will be very, very wary of fireworks going forward.
Oh, yes, definitely. Now, Nick, you have got the next story, and Andy, I'll be intrigued to find out your comments on this when Matt plays the video, because it is quite a dramatic video, and I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are. So, Nick?
Yeah, I've not actually come across this one. I was just trying to quickly pull it up on the Aviation Herald. But anyway, so on October the 27th, an Edelweiss Airbus A320 registration Hotel Bravo India Hotel Yankee was scheduled to operate a flight from Zurich, Switzerland to Faro in Portugal when, during the takeoff roll, abnormal behavior was experienced. The aircraft swung violently to the left, followed by an immediate corrective action and a rejected takeoff. One tyre blew out when the aircraft came to a safe stop. The Aviation Herald reports about passengers witnessing the aircraft violently shaking to the left. It says shacking. I'm going to say it was shaking. Not sure what shacking is. Edelweiss reported that during acceleration, the aircraft showed an abnormal behaviour, prompting the pilots to reject the takeoff, and during deceleration, the tyre burst. Data is being assessed to determine the abnormal behaviour. The aircraft was well into its takeoff on runway 32 at Zurich when it swung violently to the left. And the takeoff was rejected at about 140 knots. The tyre blew out before the flight came to a safe stop. So, yeah, I've not seen this one. So, Andy, I don't know if you've got any comments on what happened?
Yeah, has the video been played? Here we go. All right, just... let's watch it through, okay? So the aircraft's going down the runway, and then suddenly, very soon...
Wow.
Yeah. Right. Matt,
Crikey.
can you rewind that slightly?
Yeah.
Can you rewind it back to just before that happens? And I want you to also look at the tail, okay? Specifically the rudder, and look at the deflection on the rudder just before it happens.
Hey.
Massive deflection to the left on the rudder. So somebody's put that rudder input in.
Oh, wow, really? Okay.
Or could the rudder have had an uncommanded left turn? Is this a 7.3?
No, it's an Airbus
320.
320.
Okay, sorry, because I know the 7.3 had fun with the rudder, but is it at all possible?
It did back in the day, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. I've never seen it happen before. The rudder system on an Airbus this old, it's nearly 25 years old, this airframe.
Right, so I'm slow speeding it. Look, so if you watch closely,
so there, right, you see there. There's a big rudder
on the
input
right
to
hand
the
wing
left,
there.
and then
And
then it recenters almost immediately, and then there's a rudder input to the right to try and bring it back.
Wow.
Now at 140 knots, you have no nose wheel steering. It's already blended out. It's all rudder authority, so that's all it is. The rudder on the Airbus 320, on this old one, we now have e-rudder, electric rudder, but it is cable. That's the only part of the aircraft, and on some of the older ones, the stab trim as well, is actually a mechanical linkage to a hydraulic actuator. So that in full electrical failure, you still have engines and yaw control and roll control. So yeah, to me it looks like somebody's got a bit too keen on the rudder there, or there's been a slip, or something's happened. Definitely, it hasn't, and the tires burst obviously as it's.
It's lucky that
lateral
runway is
load.
as wide as it is.
Yeah.
It's a big old runway at Zurich.
In
really
the pilot's
interesting.
defence, there was a spider on their leg.
can you imagine as a passenger being at the especially the rear?
Yeah, if
of
you're
that
sat at the back.
aircraft?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd really feel that at the back.
Yeah.
So I think either somebody slipped or there's just been an inappropriate rudder input there. But the reaction to correct it was rapid. It was really good.
I feel
And
like
the
there's only
decision
going to
to
be two people that are really going to know what actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. I mean, I dare say
The
some radio comms may give it a little away.
The flight data recorder will definitely show the rudder
Okay, I
input.
was going to ask that actually, Andy. So that data would actually be recorded, would it? And they would be able to analyze that.
Yep. The quick access recorder, which is probably what they'll have gone to straight away, will show immediately all control inputs.
Right.
So if it had been actual rudder activation by the passengers, by the crew, it will definitely show.
As a non-pilot, what would be the force required? I mean, is it kind of similar to pressing a clutch on a car, for example?
Less than that at that sort of speed. How could I put it? I'd say to get a movement like that, if you went to move yourself in your seat now and like push back on yourself, it wouldn't take much more than that pressure to get that much movement on. You need really small input as you get to in the high speed regime to maintain the center line. It doesn't
because
take
presumably, once you're at speed, a more gentle input is going to have a greater effect in terms of the aerodynamic effect on the control.
Yeah, the higher the airflow, the more authority the rudder will have.
Yeah. Wow.
But that didn't look like a gentle input.
No, that was not a gentle input.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm just trying to think back to where I've done a couple of A330, A320 sims, but more 7.3 sims like full motion and all that, and trying to remember the force on the A320 to 7.3, and it's pretty similar. But been a while, so sorry. But yes, spot on, Andy. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. It's not like stomping on an old car's clutch pedal, that's for sure.
There's a question for you, Andy, in the chat room from Alex. Says, Andy, would you reject the takeoff at that speed for that incident? Split-second decision, I know.
Probably, yeah. In fact, yes, because by the time you've tried to correct the centre line, you've probably known you've burst the tyre, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
And if you're below V1, then bin it.
Yeah.
That would be my input. Another thought I just had there, maybe for some reason, if the nose had yawed slightly, one of them may have thought we've got an engine failure, and because when you practice it in the sim, you input an amount you think is right to sort of keep it straight, and it's a pretty quick reaction to do it. So maybe they could have thought that, but obviously that wasn't true.
What would V1 have been? Because 140 knots is typically just about to take off. Well, it's more 145's typical landing, isn't it, for most of that category?
It depends on the way. Where was it? It was going down to Faro, wasn't it? But the runways at Zurich, it probably had improved climb speeds as well because of all the mountains around. So you're going to take off at a higher speed anyway for the inertia and energy. So yeah, 140 now, that's not probably getting very, very close to V1, which is why it was probably an instant stop. Not much higher than that would have been V1.
Okay. Yeah,
because expect.
I was wondering.
I'm just guessing. I don't know how heavy it was.
I was wondering if it's post V1, they say take it into the air, but when you've just gone hard left, hard right, you slowed down a lot anyhow, and you're probably going, I'm not taking this in the air.
Yeah, that's always a concern. Because when you're doing, if you're doing an emergency brief, you say, we're going to stop for any warnings or cautions. Because in the Airbus, once you're above a certain speed, there's takeoff inhibit, so it blanks out most of the menial, not really interesting. The GPS one system's failed. It's not going to flag that up. It's just going to give you the big hitters, engine failures, generator problems. But you also say, if I think this aircraft is not able to fly as well, then I am going to stop. Because there's no point, even if you pass V1, you think, I can't get this off the ground, but the rules say I'm past V1, I can't stop, I've got to try and fly, then you're going to crash anyway, aren't you? So you might as well just stop and go off the end of the runway.
I guess there's that nagging doubt, perhaps, that having had an incident like that occur, that you would maybe have a concern that there might be something more serious wrong with the aircraft.
Yeah, you never know how you're going to react in that moment.
Yeah.
Until it happens to you. And again, pilots are people.
You said it again. There's egos shattering all around the world as you're saying that. You know that. And I'm not just talking about the knuckleheads, the fighter pilots. I'm talking about everyone.
Yeah.
Quite.
No, you never know how you're going to react in that moment.
Yeah.
Pilots are people. We need a T-shirt like that, I think. Yeah. PT UK, pilots are people too.
There we go. There's our show title for this week, Matt.
Producer John, please start
Pilots are
designing a
people.
T-shirt immediately,
Yeah.
please. Yes.
So
I just looked across and Photoshop is running, guys.
Excellent.
I can see on the screen
no
Photoshop
change
is
there.
running.
Yeah. Can I just say, nobody's
yes.
mentioned the fact that right in the middle of that I was able to do exactly what Andy asked me to do.
I know.
And do a slow-mo and all that kind of thing. Nobody flinched or well done, Matt.
Before we went live, I said something very horrible to you, and I take it all
No,
back.
you don't. You don't mean it at all.
About your
You
technical
mean that wasn't
prowess.
normal? I just thought that was Matt's normal level of capability. I didn't realise this was a stretch.
Oh, bless
well
you.
done.
Darling, it's been a while, hasn't it?
That's another beer you owe me next time I get my butt to the UK.
Yeah,
right?
too right, absolutely. Yeah, or Rome. We can meet in Rome again. That was fun.
Yeah. I'm sure Jenny will say hi to us again.
Yeah, she
I
will.
have to apologise for not getting there this year.
Yeah, outrageous. Right.
So, last story. This was one that came up in the news feeds this week, and it was talked about in the chat room before we went live as well this evening. The last story in the news this week comes to us from airwaysmag.com. Sad news for all the 767 lovers out there. TUI this week said goodbye to their last 767. Wednesday this week saw the last TUI 76 depart from Manchester Airport after almost 40 years of operations. The multinational leisure airline has completed the retirement of the legendary aircraft this week, ending an era and giving way to newer, more efficient planes like the 787 Dreamliner. The whole TUI group, which has been operating since 1984, had a total of 35 767 units distributed amongst its British, Dutch or Nordic subsidiaries. This week, almost all of them have all been replaced with their long-haul fleets, the new generation 787 Dreamliners in both the Dash 8 and Dash 9 variants. The last airframe, Golf Oscar Bravo Yankee Foxtrot, performed its last commercial leg from Heraklion Airport in Greece to Manchester on Tuesday. The flight operated as BY2243 and landed 15 minutes past midnight back in the UK. The 767 had been a staple in TUI's fleet for almost 40 years. The airframe was delivered to the predecessor brand Britannia Airways, and I know because I flew on one of them when I was a lot younger. It was delivered to them back in 1984. This unit, Golf Bravo Kilo Victor Zulu, was still one of the shorter Dash 200 variants, of which the airline ended up flying 13 total of those jets. From then on, BY 767s lived a crazy operation full of quick transfers between subsidiaries as demand for trends for leisure travel among different countries varied over the years. The last 767 to leave the fleet, Golf Oscar Bravo Yankee Foxtrot, saw its ownership change up to 8 different times inside the TUI group in less than 20 years. Flying for Britannia, Thomson, TUI Fly Nordic, among others. However, the indisputable aging of the aircraft added to the rising fuel costs, and the elevation of flying standards forced TUI to end operations with the 767. Now, I know the guys over at Airliners Live, they witnessed this this week, and I think it's one of those ones that a lot of people who watch the live feeds remember seeing the 76s departing from Manchester Airport. And for me, myself, having flown on the Britannia version of these back in the day, you know, it's it's old aircraft going out to pasture, but I'm going to make a guess here that some of these, or nearly all of them, will probably head over and be converted into freighters.
Yep, I believe Yankee Foxtrot went off to Istanbul the other day to head towards being converted. But they do have one left still. It's stuck in Palma, sadly. It had a tech problem, and it still never got out. It never got back to Manchester, which is such a shame.
Is it
I've just
enjoying
said,
itself down there and just taking a break? I'm stuck in Palma.
Lovely weather. I don't want to be converted. I sent Matt a picture. I don't know if he's got it that I saw last week. Of said airframe. There it is in Manchester. I used to love seeing these in Manchester. There's 2 aircraft I can always tell what they are by the sound, and first officers call me an absolute loser for this. It's the 76 and a Rolls-Royce powered 757, because there's a lot of Jet 2 757s still at Manchester. But yeah, great air for him. Sad to see it go.
I do love the fact, Andy, that before, sort of towards the last end of the lifespan of these 76s, that they put those blended winglets on those.
Yeah, they've had them on a long time, because there's quite a good fuel saving from that, because they didn't just use them into, like, around Europe. They've sent them all the way down to Boa Vista and places like that as well, which is quite a leg. This is quite a fuel saving.
No, it's sad to see them go, but I'm sure they will live on, probably. If not, they'll become a tag on the wall behind me here.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I know. Right, it's time for the next part of the show. Caption this just for fun. Your chance to comment on a picture that we post on our social medias on a Wednesday. And this week, it's safe to say that the picture got a fair bit of traction online and some rather interesting comments. Matt, if you'd want to pop the picture up on the screen for our YouTube viewers to see what it is. Now, Andy, as our resident pilot in here, would you like to explain exactly quite what's going on in this picture?
Good luck with this.
Yes. This looks like a Cessna 152 that has successfully broken the sound barrier. It has a full shockwave with condensed moisture all around the rear end. That's quite a rearward shift. It would dip straight down. Sorry, back up that would and crash immediately. But yeah, it's a Cessna 152. Oh, sorry, Grant.
Oh, my first thought on seeing that was Captain Al was flying after a good curry.
Well, funnily enough, that's coming up in just a moment.
I'm not the only one. Who knew?
Right, so we're going to kick things off with... actually, I'll read this first one from young Nicholas here. He says, in an effort to help Matt's fear of flying, Carlos kindly wrapped the PTUK's new addition to the fleet in cotton wool.
As you do.
Who wants to take the next one? Matt?
Yeah, I'll go. Oh,
go on, Andy. Go on then, Andy.
Yeah, this is from Dirk Simic. It says the flight instructor left Carlos unattended on his first solo for just a few minutes.
Nick Anderson says, damn, that cloud has caught us up again.
Nick?
Okay, he's talking with his mic off.
You're on mute. Yeah. You're on mute, Nick.
There we go. Had to happen eventually, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we got one from John Luke who says Cessna have introduced a limited edition Dog Lovers 172. The Cone of Shame doubles as an ADS-B aerial.
That'd be some transmitting there.
Indeed.
Matthew Frame says, we got some bad gas. Hold on.
Andy? He's done the same, is it? He's on mute as well.
No, I was busy laughing at one of the ones further down.
Okay.
This one's from David Kavanagh. That's getting cloud cover to another level.
Indeed. Mark Heffer is saying, which one of the teams spent too much time at Reno this year? Nick?
Yeah, we got one from James Hailstone. That's a good name. Dive, dive, dive. The only way this is reasonably possible. And I think he's included an edited version.
He has, where it's pointing the other way. There. Yeah, absolutely.
Tom Hathaway says, as record North Atlantic jet stream speeds are recorded, one New York private jet pilot or private pilot regrets going out for a Sunday flight.
Quite. Han's been in touch saying, introducing FA 172, breaking the 164 knot speed barrier. And I jumped in front of Andy. I do apologise, Andy.
Andy, you take the next one.
I was looking forward to reading that one. That was one that made me chuckle.
Oh, was it?
This one's from Jake Castle. New GA chemtrail button malfunctions. I do like that one as well.
Controversial.
As a member of Team Chemtrail, hashtag spray and pray, I appreciate that one. That's good.
Nick, do you want to get the next one?
Yeah, we got one from Richard King. Despite applying full power, the Cessna 152 could not outrun a cloud.
Fair.
That one wins it, I think.
So true. So
Indeed.
True.
Yeah, you can do the next one, Andy.
That's from Chris Eichel. Captain Al farted again.
There you go, you see. And finally, Darry's been in touch, says our egg has hatched. The new chick is a 152.
Ah.
There you go. Isn't that cute? Have we got anything in the chat room there? We'll get John to pop them up, I think, if that is the case.
I
Lee
do
Davis.
like the one from.
Oh, go on.
Sorry, I do like the one from Alex Robinson. Must stay VFR, must stay VFR. Damn this cloud.
Absolutely. Let's go back to Lee Davies' one, if we may. It says, I'm not cleaning that toilet. That one has amused me, I'm sorry. Captain Jeff is great. Thanks, Neil. Rude. Cessna were hoping for great success with the new 152-2.
Oh, my word. Micah, our main man, Uncle Micah, says that isn't this from one of those time travel Star Trek episodes? Very good. I like that one.
Yes, indeed. Richard Adams is saying Cessna's new hydrogen power plant needs some fine-tuning. And some guy called Grant McCarran, never heard of him. Cloud Strike from behind.
Dirk comes up with an interesting here. He says depicting a Cessna 152 flight in a mainstream media article. Oh, very good, Dirk.
Like it.
Well, it's safe to say that caused some traction this week. There'll be another one next week in our social media. So keep your eyes. If you follow us on Facebook, we'll put another one up next week on the show. So you can read that. Cessna
1522. Come on.
Oh, wearing a tutu. Yes, I see.
That's very good. Very
yes. So, look out for that next week, so you can leave your witty comments on. Now, don't forget, we've got the competition coming up very soon. But first, it's time for Matt to hit that button that Armando loves Matt to hit every week. It's the military.
What's up, Bogies 135, 50, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 100 Bogies.
I literally watched Grant get all excited there, literally.
I know. Special one this is. First one this week. Flightglobal.com is the provider. And special story. This has been chosen especially for our very own Matt Smith on the show this week. And 2XL Boscombe starts Boscombe down flight test with a 757 ahead of Excalibur updates.
I'm already bored.
I know. 2XL Aviation's Excalibur flight test aircraft has performed its first sorties from Boscombe Down in Wiltshire ahead of its modification in support of the tri-national global combat air program. I know, I need another beer. An ex-Titan Airways 757-200 is now registered as Golf Foxtrot Tango Alpha India. The aircraft arrived at the Kinetic Run site after being painted in Norwich in Norfolk. Yay! Spravia, I expect. Prior to artist renderings of the modified Excalibur platform showed it in a black colour scheme, but this was ruled out for the FTA program due to onboard cooling considerations. Recent work by 2XL had involved completing a C-check on the aircraft and installing extensive flight tested instrumentation equipment. This included adding some 280 fuselage mounted sensors, 280, blimey, to precisely measure pressure and flexing movement, and clear air sensor probe mounted on its top of the tail. Efficiency boosting winglets previously installed for airline use were removed as they were not required for GCAP rating tests. Alpha India carries flight test instrumentation, including a clean air probe at the top of its tail, and they said we'll be flying the aircraft until Christmas at Boscombe Down. 2XL director Chris Norton told Flight Global at the DSEI show in London. 2 flights have been performed by the 12th of September. He says that future work will include landings made at progressively increasing impact strength to model the future effect of carrying nose-mounted fighter radar. The roughly 3-month flight campaign will enable 2XL to complete a so-called finite element model of the unmodified airframe to serve as a baseline ahead of future testing. 2XL acquired two 757s from Titan, with the other having been torn down to understand its construction in depth and to precisely weigh its structures. Tags on my wall behind me, I expect. Real data was acquired, Norton said, because you can't use a model to make a model. If we derive the data ourselves, it is best for the regulator, and the Civil Aviation Authority will approve the modified Excalibur platform for use in support of airborne testing from 2026. Equipment to be installed on the Twinjet will include integrated sensors, non-kinetic effects, and integrated communication systems, and technology being pursued by a team of Leonardo UK and Leonardo Electronics Italy, and ELT and Mitsubishi Electric, along with a prototype active electronically scanned array radar. Norton says a core preliminary design review has been completed for the planned extensive modifications which will be made to the 757 airframe by 2XL. He said, we're trying to give the MOD a choice of freedom and modification, he said, with the airframe to feature the biggest possible apertures and lumps to accommodate sensors. Now, it's safe to say, with all those sensors and bits and pieces sticking out of the aircraft, you know, it's surprising they took the winglets off, because with all that stuff on, it's going to be burning a hell of a lot more fuel than what it would have done in its commercial airliner days. But
I'm upset with this story. They've taken one of the most beautiful aircraft ever made. They've painted one grey, they've chopped one up, and now they're going to put lumps and bumps all over it.
They chopped two up.
They chopped two. Oh, I didn't read that. Nick, you've made it worse now. They chopped two up.
I was annoyed about that as well.
Yeah, but it's fun. There was one down here at Avalon earlier this year at the air show, and they were doing all sorts of onboard demos of systems and everything, and it had this big sort of stub wing thing hang off just behind the cockpit, and which made me say, see what happens when you're exposed to all that Wi-Fi stuff? You get cancerous growths hanging off your aircraft. But I do have one very important question.
Uh-oh.
Carlos, you mentioned it was painted at Norwich.
yes.
So what graffiti's it got on it, and does it still have the original tyres?
Oh,
Hey!
Grant.
Oh, I'm going to take you to the Marlcross estate when you come to visit. That'll be a treat for you.
I'm going to go online and get a pallet load of Fosters sent to his
I
house.
say.
Oh, yeah, that's good. We could use it to water the garden. Might help something grow. Yeah. It's Foster's. It's Australian for sheep dip.
Look, oh, I got very nervous there for a brief.
Back to the story, though. They have picked a good platform to do this with.
Yes, very true.
I'm keeping it professional.
Yeah, no, you're doing very well. I'm very proud of you, Andy.
And Andy's this week's Nev.
Yeah, oh, right.
He's keeping things professional.
Keeping us all in check, making sure that it's a worrying state of affairs when Andy is the sensible one. It's
a worrying state of affairs when Andy's only had 1 pint during the whole show.
Yes, I know, but work beckons and all that. You know.
No, that's the second.
Oh, right, okay.
He's 1.5 in.
Yeah.
I don't work weekends anymore, Matt. It's fine.
Get you. That's marvelous, isn't it?
God.
Anyway.
Carrying on, story 2. Andy, do you want to take this one? Beans you love to drone on.
Oh, very good. This is from UK Aviation. This is from UKAviation.news. And this is first Protector drone arrives at RAF Waddington. The first of 16 new surveillance drones for the RAF have been delivered to RAF Waddington in Lincolnshire, where they'll be based. The Protector RG Mark 1, which also has a code of Mike Quebec-9 Bravo, is the next generation of UAV from the Reaper, another code Mike Quebec 9 Alpha, and as well as its primary surveillance role, the UAV can carry laser-guided bombs such as the Paveway 4, as well as Brimstone missiles. Due to officially enter service next year, the Protector will now undergo testing at RAF Waddington in readiness for service. Capable of flying in excess of 40 hours and a service ceiling of 40,000 feet, The UAV is piloted remotely from crews either at RAF Waddington or from a forward operating position. Air Commodore Alex Hicks of the RAF said, "This is an important milestone for the programme, Air Force and wider defence, and I am delighted to see the Protector at RAF Waddington. The aircraft is built by General Atomics, based in San Diego, who specialise in UAV systems for governments and defence." Wow, that's impressive. 40 hours.
Good thing there's no people on board, or it would definitely go well beyond the level of happiness of the crew.
Oh, yeah.
and the passengers at the end of the day. It doesn't look that roomy, I've got to be honest.
It's a little bit small.
Indeed. I mean,
I wouldn't mind one, though.
I don't know. I mean, am I being I don't know. No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I don't think.
No, you're not having one, Matt.
No,
you're
I don't
not
want
flying
one.
this around here.
No.
Oh, go on,
no.
Matt. Say it.
I don't know.
Busters.
No, I'm not. Goodness.
Rinse your mouth out with 4X.
I don't know. I'm a bit sort of like drones in military are a brilliant idea, but also I do feel like it's cheating.
What? Because it's not putting people in harm's way.
Well,
yeah, I've never thought of it like that. You know,
I know.
So we're not going to send somebody off to die. Damn it, that's cheating.
No,
Oh,
no,
Matt.
but I know, but the solution is to not need them. Do you know what I mean? It's like that.
Well, that is good, yeah.
That's the thing. It's just like I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just
I hear you,
in
mate.
an ideal world,
If
we
I-
wouldn't
if I-
need any
yeah,
we wouldn't need any defence forces.
No,
correct.
no.
In an ideal world.
Yeah.
However, we're human.
Yeah.
And if you look at some very common things across the entire recorded history of mankind, the underlying commonality is that we're going to find some reason to go and beat the snot out of the people next door for some reason.
Right. Yeah.
Whether next door is the next house, the other side of the world, whatever, it's going to come up. And unfortunately, you do need a stick. And a thing about these kind of unmanned aerial vehicles or unmanned undersurface or on surface or all the other unmanned things that we're playing with is that I don't know if you've noticed, but most militaries around the world are finding it very hard to get the people. I suspect even China's going to start having problems populating its defense force because their population trends are dipping down. It's going to happen. So a drone, you can put it up there and it can orbit for 40 hours with its eyes on the world, well beyond as I was saying, well beyond the level of happiness of any crew. And so it gives you a persistent view, which is why Australia wants to get Tritons, which is the big Marinized Global Hawk thing. It's just going to sit up there looking around, and then the manned crews will do other things. So it gives you that stare. And something that many defence groups like to say is you can't shoot what you can't see. And so a long orbiting drone sitting up there can give you the GPS coordinates of the bad guys, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and it reduces the number of people being put in harm's way, especially when you don't have enough people to even put all your platforms out there anyhow. Yeah. So we're not going to get rid of them. They're here to stay, and they're going to get more and more autonomous, whether we like it or not. So the big thing we've got to try and do is A, put curbs and balances on them for the people who follow that stuff, and B, find out ways to get rid of them and mitigate them for the people who don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's where it's going, guys. Sorry. Happy Friday, right?
If you can find a way, Matt, of changing the human genome to get rid of the survival instinct of greed,
yes,
then we might be getting somewhere.
Yeah,
but that's never going to happen.
Yeah. No,
and that's too much for Friday night. Move on.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, no, that's
anyway,
sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, whilst we all grab a beer each and a pint of scotch, let's move on to the last story of the military news this week. And who should we get to take? Obviously, Grant can't because he can't see the show notes, and Matt's busy downing a bottle of something interesting there. Nick, would you like the last one there, the
Sure.
MC30 story?
Yeah, I've not read this one, so let's see how we get on. So a NASA C-130 Hercules successfully made its first flight to Antarctica on Sunday, delivering the Galactic Extragalactic ULDB Spectroscopic Terahertz Observatory,
Bless you.
which is known as Gusto or Gusto. for short, to the McMurdo station, according to the space agency. Gusto is set to launch aboard a long-duration balloon campaign in December to map a portion of the Milky Way and near large Magellanic Cloud. Large Magellanic Cloud. There we go. We got there in the end. Sorry about that, folks. The NASA Wallops Flight Facility, based in Wallops Island, Virginia, spent nearly a year coordinating the 26,400 nautical mile round trip that required an extra pilot and flight engineer to manage 90 hours across numerous time zones. From international clearances with agencies, cargo configurations with NASA's Balloon Program Office, logistical support with the National Science Foundation at McMurdo, to a specialized training on non-traditional navigation systems in Antarctica, the Wallops Aircraft Office developed an extensive plan to safely deliver the intricate science payload, NASA said. The journey began on October the 17th at Fort Cavazos, Texas, while the Gusto Observatory and members of its instrument team were loaded into the heavy lift cargo aircraft. Additional stops to service the aircraft and for crew rest included Travis Air Force Base, California, Hickam Air Force Base, Hawaii, Pago Pago, American Samoa, and Christchurch, New Zealand, before finally reaching McMurdo, Antarctica, a mere 800 miles from the South Pole, NASA said John Bakura, a Wallops research pilot on the Gusto mission. We work very hard to make sure that we execute the mission at a high standard of technical competence and professionalism to maintain NASA's international reputation. NASA's Wallops Flight Facility Aircraft Office personnel pose after the C-130 aircraft delivered the agency's Gusto payload to McMurdo Station. I don't know if Matt's got the picture there.
No.
But how cool does that C-130 look? It's not only is it so for audio listeners, it's a Hercules that's basically painted.
It's not in grey.
It's entirely white, and it has a lovely blue stripe with the NASA logo on the side, and it looks awesome set against the white backdrop of Antarctica. That's such a cool looking thing.
This is not a military story. It's a civilian one. It's NASA. It's aircraft operating at McMurdo, which is a research base, and so on. So, yeah, there you go. What a way to end a military session.
I'll defer that this was sent to me by Armando. So.
Yeah, no, he's really
Captain Military.
Really good story. It's great. But just noting that for people who don't like the military section, not saying hi to Captain Al and Nev here at all, this was a really good story, and it's just in the military section, but it's one of those hybrid ones.
Yeah,
it's very civilian.
Cool. Even Nev would have liked this one, but unfortunately, he's otherwise engaged.
He's too busy.
Getting all
singing.
shook up, I think.
Getting all shook up. Yeah.
Talking about
having
NASA
his
livery,
shins kicked.
NASA have had their DC-8 out this week as well, which you don't see flying very often.
Oh,
beg your
Is
pardon.
that still flying?
is that the one?
it's
Is that the
still
one that
going.
leaves smoke trails?
No, because it's been retrofitted with CF6s.
Oh, okay.
It's the one that actually goes up and sniffs the atmosphere.
Ooh.
They have a lot of atmospheric sampling stuff on it.
Yeah, it's been
nice.
out this week. There you go. See, I do like some, but it's not military, like Grant said. Yep.
It's hybrid. It's NASA. They're cool.
It's hybrid. I love
It's
that.
government.
Yeah, no, fair.
But this is the cool.gov, not the boomboom.gov, right?
I'm scared.
It's the things that you learn about the universe from, as opposed
I
to
see.
Disassembling people
Right,
rapidly
right,
and painfully.
okay. Yes, I'm with you. Yes,
Can anyone else have a go at that, pronouncing that word that I just couldn't get my head
No, much more fun. Much more fun to
Magellan.
leave you. Yeah,
around? That's the one. We normally leave them
Magellanic
for
Clouds.
Carlos.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know how to say it because you see them down here in the southern hemisphere. So I grew up knowing about the Magellanic Clouds,
Right.
and it's also as in Straits of Magellan.
Yes.
So the same dude.
Bless you, my child.
Thank you.
Salud.
Indeed. Well, there we go then. That is the military done and dusted.
I know that is the military done and dusted, and it's time for to draw the winner for our book giveaway. Last week, Nev set the question for the book giveaway. And I know Matt's got a picture of the said book that we are giving away this week, which is a rather interesting book, I will say, because if you are a lover of the Haynes manual, I know I used to have one for my Mark II Escort, 1977 Mark II Escort, back in the day when I first started to learn to drive. This is for the Avro Vulcan, the owner's workshop manual. And believe it or not, it does actually show you how to do an oil change on a Avro Vulcan. But who?
That's nuts.
It is weird, isn't it? But we've got. I've got the hat. I went. Let me just.
Okay.
Went and grabbed the hat here. Nearly dropped it then. With, I don't know if you can see there. We go with the names in the hat. And so the question we asked you was, the question Nev asked was, who was the detachment commander of the Royal Air Force's Vulcan Force on Ascension Island? Now, we did have an incorrect answer, bizarrely enough. It's not very often that happens, but we did have correct answers as well. So they're in the Skydive Carolina hat. There we go. And I'm going to pull a name out of the hat here for the winner of the book this week. And the name I'm going to pull out here is, let's have a look here. There we go. This week's winner is Jake Castle. There we go, Jake. You have won the Avro Vulcan book this week. That one is for you. So if you want to get in contact with us, send us your best address to get that book delivered to. We'll get that sent across to you ASAP. Now, moving on to this week's quiz, and one of our chat room viewers at the moment, who's in the chat room, very kindly sent us over something to give away as a prize this week. And it's safe to say it's definitely different. It's not something we've given away on the show before. And a big thanks to Richard, who's in the chat room at the moment. And Richard sent us over these. I'll hold them up for the benefit of those who are watching in YouTube world. But this is a set of safety cards from Astraeus Airways with the 757-200. We've got the 737-300 and 737-700, and these are all safety cards, and they are absolutely immaculate. These are like brand new cards. There we go. Oh, you can't really see there because my green screen's on, but you can see there these are proper actual safety cards from the aircraft. Yeah. I love here it says, look, don't remove from the aircraft. Outrageous. But we have all three of these to give away as a prize this week, or for next week on the show. So all these three of these could be gracing your shelf at home. I know, I must admit, when Richard said about having these as a gift for myself, I thought, well, the wife might say something about that. So we decided, Richard very kindly said...
Wait. You think she's going to have something to say about you having 3 pieces of folded cardboard versus yet another engine part attached to your frickin' wall?
I know. He says it with an arbor.
You could have just said, they were given to me, but I decided to give them away. And I thought, he's so benevolent. Because the real reason you're giving them away is because the wife will go mad.
Yeah, she will. Absolutely. Lovely.
You could always laminate them and make them into dinner mats. I know someone who's done that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But we do have these to give away next week, and I think this week, being as Nev's not here, and Andy, I think we'll get Andy to read this week's question to win the card. So, Andy, for the benefit of the listeners, how can they win this week? What is the question to win these cards this week? It's an interesting question.
It is. It's a good question, and I know the answer because I was actually flown by this person on Astraeus once. The question is, which legendary rock star was a pilot for Astraeus? So that question again is, which legendary rock star was a pilot for Astraeus?
Now, don't forget, answers via email only, not in the chat room, not on Facebook, not anywhere else. Answers via email, podcast@planetalkinguk.com is that email address. Send your answers to, with a chance to win these amazing cards. And thank you very much again to Richard for sending these over to us to give away as a prize this week. And like I said, they are absolutely pristine. These are like brand spanking new, and will make a nice shelf adornment for any Av geek out there who may have loved the 737-300 and 700, and obviously we were talking about them earlier, the 757-200 as well. So there we go. Get your answers in.
Now, before we start wrapping up and doing socials and things like that, Carlos, we've been sent a picture, have we not, of what I can only describe as a rather disturbing morphing.
Yes. yes. Alex sent us a picture that he took earlier of his screen, his TV screen at home. And, well, he took it, and it's of, well, I don't know what you could describe it as. It's kind of... It's Grant.
It's a horror movie backdrop.
I don't know quite what happened there.
That's just wrong.
It's
guys.
just as it's busy switching from. It's obviously a Zoom was switching from one operator to another, and for some reason we've got a bit of a talk about taking it at the wrong moment.
It's like, behave, kids, or this will be visiting you tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
This is horrific.
Yeah, we needed this 3 days ago as our Halloween backdrop. I think that's what it's.
That's what it's probably a hangover from, yeah.
Indeed. For those listening online, well, we'll perhaps post this picture if Alex doesn't mind, but essentially it's a morphing, shall we say, between Grant and Carlos.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
It's like something from that program, Tales of the Unexpected. Remember that one from the 80s?
Made by Anglia Television back in the day.
The caption this is now going to be, I drank what?
Yeah. Absolutely. There you go. That's your caption this for next week. Yeah.
It's like one of those moments when the transporter beams overlapped and two people became one. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Disaster. Anyway, enough nerd chat.
Enough nerd chat. Right, we're going to start to wrap up the show.
He says, appearing on an aviation air.
I know.
It's like enough nerd chat. What, 2 hours into an aviation show?
Come on, guys. Yeah, a bit late. Yeah, sorry.
So, don't forget, competition next week. Will be we'll put a name out of the hat to win these. So get your answers in. More details. I'm going to pop that on socials this week as well for those of you who might have missed that on there. We'll pop it on the socials as well. So get your answers in. And don't forget, all about the socials. Let's have a quick look here. How can you get in contact with us? Well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Search social medias for Plain Talking UK. Or don't forget also that WhatsApp number. If you want to have your picture on the green screen behind me here or behind Matt, it's +44 757 224 9166. You can email the show with your competition answers. It's podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. And our website is allthews.plaintalkinguk.com, where you can find links to our shop where you can get yourself a PTUK mug and a military grey mug as well. Yes, they're on there. Plus our T-shirts as well you can find on there to purchase. Also links to Patreon and PayPal if you want to become a supporter of the show, as we appreciate that every month, you guys and girls out there who help us as well. So that's about it. Going to say a big special thank you to the legend that is from Down Under, is of course Grant McCarran, for joining us on the show this evening. Grant, it has been a hoot having you on.
Thank you for allowing me to join. Not at all because I've bribed producer John with an RX-7 ride after this. So yeah, taking him in the old Series 2 1982 RX-7 if it'll start. But anyhow, so it's good to be here. It's an early morning, so no booze for me. Boo. But yeah, thanks for letting me on. It's been a lot of fun and great to catch up with you folks again.
And where can people find out more about the great little project that you and Steve have got going?
The little thing called Plain Crazy Down Under. So plaincrazydownunder.com, because remember, folks, it's what's down under that counts.
There we go.
Well, I mean, it's my mantra for life, frankly. Have I told you this? I don't know. Did you know that your podcast is the first ever podcast that I ever listened to?
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize now to the people of the world. I am so sorry that we helped start this.
Yeah, no. No. Yours was. I was like, I don't know what a podcast is. I think I should find one, and yours is the first one that I found.
And he went, I'm never listening to a podcast again.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the only one I've downloaded to this day.
All they talk about is beer, Vegemite, balloons.
Oh, Vegemite! I love Vegemite.
Anyway, before
Our work here is done, folks. I can relax now. We have, hey, you guys have Bovril, all right? There's people over in the UK who love Bovril.
It's
basically gravy. You're just drinking a cup of gravy. That's far better than yeast. The only thing yeast should be in is bread and beer. That's it.
No, but that's just it. You put it on your bread to recover from drinking too much beer. It's great.
Oh, my word. Anyway, also, we're going to say a big special thank you as well again to the awesome Andy who's joined us tonight. And Andy, we're going to have to get you your own hot seat soon for all these.
That's 2 weeks in a row now.
I know.
Yeah, we definitely owe him a mug or something.
We owe him something, don't we? Yeah. So thanks, Andy. It's been lovely to have you on, as always, and especially with your input as well. It's been great on the show. So thank you very much. Going to say a big thanks as well to Nick as well. He's been busy this week chucking stuff together for the show notes. So thanks, Nick, with all those stories and also the ones with the difficult names to pronounce, because we do love those sorts of stories. So thank you, Nick.
Yeah, I normally give those to you, Carlos. But it's been a bit rushed this week. I've actually had to be doing my day job. I've been a bit busy.
Awful.
Yeah.
And we're also going to say a big thanks as well to producer John as well, who I know is not too far away from Grant. So thanks, John. I know you can hear me in his earpiece. Bless him. He's wait. There he is. Thank you, John. And also,
he lives.
Not forgetting as well. Matt as well over in the PTK Master Suite.
You're not allowed to finish just yet. For some reason, I've been told I've got to look up something. Hang on.
Anyway, thanks to Matt as well for pushing all the right buttons in there. Now, don't forget, we'll be back next Friday with the next live show at 7:00 here on YouTube. And hopefully, fingers crossed, Nev will have some stories to regale us with of his travels over to the Canary Islands. So, all being well. Matt's just having a moment. He's had far too much water this evening.
I am looking forward to hearing from Nev about his travels on Be Cheap Air. On Euroflyer. Well, no, he flew with Euroflyer, which is the cheap arm now of BA. So I'll be interested to see what he has to say.
Oh, they have an arm of cheapness as opposed to the whole damned airline. Okay, cool.
Nev's listening. Nev is listening, you know. He is in the...
Yeah, I was just waiting to hear just how his lovely Mrs. Nev reacts when he starts choking over that. He's listening.
Pina colada.
Can we wrap up now, please?
Right. That is where we are going to bring episode 478 to a close of the show. Thanks to all the chat room. You lot have been blooming lovely tonight in the chat room, so hope you all had a good time tonight. Don't forget to join us next week on the show to bring you more fun entertainment of the aviation persuasion. So from me, Carlos here in the home studio, from Matt in the PTK Master Suite studio, from Andy, from Grant, from Nick, and from John as well. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all next week, and say goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.